It would not be an exaggeration to say that there were flashes of the Kargil war in the Nuh siege some days back. Why do I say that? Well, for starters, both Nuh and Kargil are inalienable parts of India. And yet, we witness the unbelievable sight that, like the enemy in Kargil, a traitorous, murderous mob had occupied the Aravalli hillocks surrounding Nuh and besieged members of the majority community holed up in the temple premises near a hillock. And then, true to their traitorous ways, this mob, chanting slogans in support of Pakistan, let loose a fusillade of stones, live ammunition fire on those seeking shelter below with the clear intention to maim and kill. I never thought such a scenario could unfold in independent India. But believe me, such a scenario almost on identical lines has been unfolding in the hilly terrain of Churachandpur in Manipur. In that part of the country, some of the locals, armed to the teeth with automatic weapons, have built bunkers and control the streets and open fire if any attempt is made to dislodge them. This is a new reality our country is facing. And at one level, it seems inconceivable that a nuclear-armed country having the fourth largest army in the world, chugging away to become the third largest economy in the world, can have internal situations such as these. But these are the bitter realities which have become part and parcel of the narrative in India. The question, of course, one must ask is how we got to this point in time when groups of our own citizens have started creating autonomous zones where the reach of the Indian state is getting squeezed and limited. In this episode, I will attempt to answer the how and why of this ugly phenomenon riddling the Indian state. But a note of caution here. I personally believe in the unity and diversity of the country. I believe there are no good or bad communities, only misled people. And therefore, unlike some rabid commentators, I will not name communities but refer to them in general terms in my analysis. But first, a warm welcome to all viewers of the CAA show. CAA, as all of you know, is Conversations and Analysis, and my name is Juggi Bhasin. To watch the show, press the big red subscriber button on your screen. Subscription is, of course, completely free. Now, let us first go back in time and understand from where the very idea of no-go zones emerges. It can be said that there were many principalities in India around independence which wanted to retain their autonomy in post-independent India. We all know this fact. But in post-independent India, this idea really gathered teeth by a combination of irresponsible Bollywood films like Diwar and a situation on the ground when enormous economic disparity and hopeless opportunity emboldened the rise of the smuggler / underworld mafia dons. The film Diwar chronicled the life and times of a real-life dock worker who later became a crime boss and controlled all the smuggling activities in and around the dock areas of what then used to be called Bombay. The entire workforce there was under his control. He had a cut in every illegal transaction in those areas. To my mind, the Bombay docks were the first autonomous zone created by this mafia don in post-independent India. A zone where the presence of the Indian state was very limited and all activities were in a sense controlled by the crime boss. The rise of such crime bosses gave air to the growth of a more insidious phenomenon. The new narrative being that the minority community could never get justice or opportunity in the country, and therefore it was absolutely kosher for some of them to emerge as crime lords and create their own spheres or zones of influence where the writ of Indian law would be left far behind. And then The crime lord would create his own workforce, create employment, and oversee the prosperity of his people, of course, on his terms and conditions, and not that of the Indian state. In short, a Robin Hood kind of figure who looked after his community in defiance of Indian law. And no prizes for guessing. Bollywood amplified this obnoxiousness in film after film till in the 80s it became difficult to separate the underworld from Bollywood. This project, even then and more so now, was fanned, encouraged, and given protection by the liberal so-called secular politician. This class of politicians saw in the creation of these no-go zones run by mafiosi, a community of people who are bound to vote for him during elections. And why would that be? Because in return, of course, the politician would turn a blind eye to the nefarious activities of these autonomous zones. The case of Nuh is a case in point. I have visited Nuh many years back when the hard-working community in Nuh was making waves, especially in North India, by creating man-made ponds and lakes for all manner of fish farming. Nuh was then known for this enterprise and fish exports. But slowly, like the blight, the liberal politician and the mafiosi entered the fray, and Nuh turned into the nerve center of cyber crime in the country. Understand what it means. To indulge in cyber crime, the youth there would have to have a certain degree of speaking skills and basic education. But look how the crime bosses converted the education of the youth in something so sinister, culminating in them raising Pakistan slogans and firing on helpless, innocent devotees. The creation of these zones and the radicalization of youth in these areas is not so much due to religious polarization, but it is the result of the creation of a kind of perverted economic model jointly promoted by crime bosses and the liberal politician. This is the new reality and challenge confronting the Indian state today. Question is, what will it take to dislodge this nexus? And so on this note, I come to the end of this episode of the CAA show. Hope you really enjoyed this particular episode. If you like our show, do subscribe to us. And on this note, it's goodbye and cheers from my end.